Okay, this is how my painting has dried, the first part. And you notice how dull everything is now? What you want to do now is look at the vein work on the back or in the front. Sometimes the veins work exactly across from each other. These are not quite across from each other. Do you see that? So the center line has a nice curve. Don't make it completely straight. Make it meander a little bit. So draw that double first. You see what I'm doing? I'm giving, that's too fat, one there. It's a very thin little line. Okay. I'm going to show you in a minute why I'm doing this, all right? So I'm going to go for the bigger ones first that end up going to the very tip. And I curved them a little bit because I think they look lovelier that way. If that's too much of a curve, we can change it later. Again, don't use really hard pencils, you know, very hard lines. Use a soft line, enough for you to see that you're leaving a little space in between. And when you go to the tip, they actually come out at different places, just like the real thing does here. So that's really cool. This is one of my favorite things to do when we get to this point. Now there are a couple little ones here. See, they go into that tip. That one is broken off, so we have no clue. So we're going to imagine it's going to go over there. You see some on the side here. Do you see that? I wouldn't go crazy with them everywhere because it can get to be a little bit too much after a while. So let's just maybe do one in here and maybe a few in there. Don't overdo it. It's enough to let people know that you have studied this. So let's go back to raising up my work a tad. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go wet on dry. Mixture color. This is dried up from the other day. So I could just go right back in. And I am going to very carefully play with that line that I've drawn in. So I'm not rubbing it all the way in. I'm just looking at my spaces. And here and there, I'm going to add color to bring out that line. There isn't one here, but I'm going to make one there. Now don't work in too big a section because it's very hard to keep everything nice and wet once you've put it in, okay? So you do want the colors to blend just like they did before. Okay, so I put some in here. And believe it or not, they will start popping out in a little while. You'll start seeing, oh, there's the vein work. There's a tad of green in there. Do you see that? So I'm going to take some of the green from my other palette. Where was I? Here. So obviously, if you make the area darker than the previous color was, you will pop out that vein work. And once you leave some of those original colors, like I just went in there, I should have left that alone because I like that. I just laid my brush on my paper towel and I'm going to pretend I like that lightness in there because the vein work is standing out on its own. You could always lift off some of the color from your work if you choose not to keep it. Now, I know we wanted to keep this side my light side. So I'm going to go play. I tend to skip around in these babies because I do better. Some light may actually be hitting here already. So let's start. And you see how this is lighter, so I'm going to put that color in and I'm going to try to bring it up to the vein work. So if you keep your original colors where they are, but just accentuate where you have that vein work going on. It's hopefully going to do exactly what you want it to do. But I may have to go a little darker in here. Certainly away from the vein work, I would not change my color of my leaf because this one is pretty dark as it is. I went over that shadow with that highlight, with one little color like that, and it still carries as a highlight. It simply just won't be a white one anymore. But highlights can be lighter in value. They don't have to be pure white. All right, let's see if this vein work is coming out. Do you see it coming out? So once you've done the actual vein work, then go have fun with your colors. Leave some of the stuff that's originally under here that you liked, like in there. But where the vein is, I need to bring it out. And then take your towel and just don't cover anything else that I had done earlier because I like what I have there. I like this lighter with that lighter and the dark in between. Question is, can we pop out the vein work? So I'm going to take some purple. And here my pencil line came together, so I need to make sure I keep a little opening there for that vein. Here's more vein work. Change your colors, don't just make them all just one. I'm going from purple to brown to that really deep orange. I'm going to work on this side of my vein, and I'm going to start with some yellow. That one didn't quite go in there. I break up my yellow line. I just don't want to draw the whole thing. That's an easy thing to do, and it's a hard thing not to do. But it's the secret to watercolor. I'm leaving that highlight. I like it. Again, I like what I have here, so I have a clean brush, and I just gently go over that clean area I didn't want to touch, and I let the colors blend together. All right, this is a very much darker leaf by itself, see that? So let's get some more brown from our little palette, because I like the brown on this little palette a lot. And don't want to lose that lovely little highlight. Again, I put the color in. I think I could use a tad of orange. Then I take my clean brush, start away from the area, and just let it touch up there. And it should blend right in there. I'm going to go right to the other side. Some flowers that you do, they actually have a yellow vein work. So when you know that, you should start your whole leaf with yellow and not even put in all these cool colors that we did. This is the shadow side, so I think that could be pulled out a little bit more. So you look at what you've done, and I'm going to make this skinnier because I don't like a really fat vein work there. Again, take your clean brush and just blend it in there. Okay, there's can go a little tad thinner there. That's the really nice part. If you have a good round brush, you can get right in there and do that. All right, what's happening in here? I think all of that looks good. I'm just going to leave it alone. I like how this is coming back to being the lighter side, remember? But it doesn't mean you can't plop some yellow in across the avenue here, just to brighten it back up a tad. Now that you've basically wet the whole thing, you have created a wet on wet again, but you've used a wet on dry method. I'm putting some ultramarine blue in here because I do like it and I want to bring out a little pizzazz. It's a little too dull for my liking. What else do I need to do? How about some nice, strong purple? So let's go in here and make this vein work look a little livelier. This is something you should never rush. That looks like an outline, which it is, but then take your other color. I'm taking some orange, and I'm just trying to blend that in a bit. Lovely. And some leaves do have speckles, right? And they do have little marks, so you can certainly muck it up. Where's my leaf? Does this one have little marks? Yeah, it has a couple little. How cute is that? It has some green dots and some brown dots, so maybe at the end we can do that. Okay, it's getting better. That is actually very cool, so I'm not touching it. And you don't even, once it's wet on wet again, you don't even have to bring it around to all the edges. Let it just be a nice little blob there. That's fun. With this flat brush. If you wanted some of the vein work on the light side to show up a little bit brighter, you take this flat brush, and you should really wait for this painting to be dry, and you gently lift off some color. Then you can tap this down if it's totally dry. I am not sure this is totally dry, so I'm not going to tap it down right now. But it's really a fun way to make the vein work on this side seem a little bit lighter. And when there's more light coming in to something, there's more sparkle. Now I forgot one here, and I'm deciding I want one. It's obviously wet, but don't let it be soaking wet, right? Then you take it from here, and you simply pull in another vein work. Ta-da! Cool. This is doing nothing that I want it to do. So while I'm here, let's feed it some yellow, because this is the bright side. Nice. Okay, so those are a little lighter. Let us make the side that hits the light, probably here and there. The sunlight would hit that center strong vein. Do clear your brush, please, in between. Don't just go all the way across, because you will drag your color across. I do like lifting out. And this is simply called lifting. And you do that with a flat brush. It's the coolest tool to have. Let's pull one little side one in here. Now my brush is a little bit too dry, so I'm going to wet it again. Da-da-dum. There we go. Doesn't have to be very strong. They don't all have to have the same strength, right? So let's make it an odd number, because odd numbers look more natural. You can take a toothpick and make a nice brown, or the other one had some green dots on it, but I really don't have a lot of green in my thing. I don't have a toothpick, but I have a shish kebab stick. So it's a shish kebab stick, so I'm gently going to push a couple dots in here. Don't make them look too patterned. Be random with them. Now, some of my paint is still wet, which I actually like, because they aren't all the same size that way. Not dry everywhere. I can see that it doesn't matter. So I'm going to use my big brush, and I'm going to take this cool yellow first. But first I'm going to spatter it slightly next to it, because I don't want huge blobs. There we go. And then I like that. And then I would suggest you slightly turn your page so that not all the blobs go the same way. Now again, less is probably more. All I'm going to do.